I think I'm having an allergic reaction to the new protein powder that I just got, so if I go into anaphylactic shock, this might turn into a very different video. Hey friends, it's Ren, and today I want to talk to you about my life, reading, and channel goals for this year of 2021. I know typically in this booktube world, people generally just go with their channel goals or their reading goals or both, but I kind of want to add more lifestyle content to this channel, just very little sprinkled in, because it's something that I think a lot about and care a lot about, so to integrate it with my channel would be great for me, because this is the place where I talk about things that I love. I don't want to not discuss a part of myself because it doesn't fit in with the brand, I guess. First, I'm gonna start with my reading goals because this is a booktube channel. So first and foremost, I set my number of books at 50. I read 101 books last year and it was too many books. It didn't feel authentic. It felt like I was trying really hard to read a ton of books, and I don't ever want reading to be work for me. I don't ever want to feel like I'm just pushing myself to get to a goal instead of enjoying this very relaxing hobby that I have. So I think that cutting my Goodreads goal in half is gonna definitely benefit me and is gonna make me feel a lot better about the books that I choose to read. Similarly, I want to be more discerning about the books that I read. Last year, I was kind of all over the place. Towards the end, I feel like I kind of got more of a grip on what I liked and what I wanted to read, but at the beginning of the year I feel like I just went completely buck wild and read anything and everything, read things that were popular, read things that I could integrate with my channel specifically just because they would integrate with my channel and I could make a video out of them. I don't really want to do that because reading, like I said, is a hobby that is supposed to be relaxing for me. So what I want to do is make videos that have subjects that actually interest me. I definitely appreciate the way that some of my videos have allowed me to branch out in my reading, but at the same time, it's supposed to be fun and it's supposed to be a hobby. So the amount of times that I've forced myself to read stuff that I didn't want to read last year, or like forced myself to not DNF books I didn't want to DNF, like all of those things together, I don't want to do that this year. I want to quit books that I don't want to keep reading. That is a very high priority for me in 2021. Probably the highest priority, tied with continuing to read diversely, which is sort of my next goal. I want to always have this goal in mind because I feel like if you don't get intentional about the authors you're reading from and the main characters you're reading about, things can kind of fall apart, because if you're just reading what's popular, a lot of times those are not books written by people who are not white, cisgendered people. I want to understand the experiences of people that don't have the same kind of life that I do, who don't have the same experiences that I do, who don't move within the world the same way that I do, and to do that I need to read diversely. So that's what I plan to do in this coming year, and to just keep an eye on who I'm reading from, as I said, and just making sure that that list is not super white. Next, more of a fun one, I want to read more horror this year. I am very much getting into horror, not thrillers, because I've pretty much figured out last year from reading like 4 or 5 thrillers that it's just not a genre that I particularly like. Horror, on the other hand, definitely something that I'm interested in. It's a slippery slope for me because I don't really like gore that much. I don't like horror that involves a lot of just like descriptions of disgusting gore. I'm gonna have to be careful as I move forward, but just reading more horror and things that interest me in that genre is definitely something that I want to focus on. I also want to read Stephen King this year. I only read it and I didn't love it, but I want to give some other books a try, mostly just like the older ones that everyone loves, like The Shining and Pet Sematary maybe. I just want to give him another shot because I know a lot of people love his work. As weird and problematic as he is as an author and as a human being, I feel like I need to have the cultural context that his books provide, and I really am interested in doing that. Another bookish goal that I have is I want to read 50% of my physical TBR. So right now I'm at like 35%, which sounds bad, but the biggest reason for it is that I get rid of books that I don't love after I read them. So the books that I have read, I often get rid of because I don't think that they're worth keeping, which means that most of my books are unread books. Considering that I can't buy, which I'll talk about it later, but I can't buy any more new books, it shouldn't be that difficult for me, but we'll see. I don't want to say that and then completely fail by the end of the year. Next, I want to read more classics. I have read a lot of them in the past, but a lot of them I just don't remember. And I want to reread some of my favorites like Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. I'm dying to reread that this year, as well as Juneteenth, which is also by Ralph Ellison. I just want to get those classics in because I generally love them, and I want to experience them again with a older and more educated, in terms of literary analysis, that lens. So I'm definitely looking forward to reading more classics this year. Moving on to channel goals, I would really love, I don't know if I want to like attach a number to anything, but I would love to get to 1K this year. I would just love it. So that is definitely something I'm keeping in the back of my mind, but I don't like to set goals that I don't actually have control over. But I feel like if I just put up more consistent content, which I have is another goal of mine, I have every intention of doing this year, I really hope to get to that number. That would be great. I would be very happy. Next, I want to, as I said before and touched on before, make more content based on the things that I like and sort of working around what I'm interested in rather than working around what I think booktube is going to be interested in. I feel like it's disingenuous, first and foremost, to just read things because I think that it will get me clicks. I'm not saying that's entirely why I did it, because part of the reason was that I just didn't understand what I wanted to read or what I liked to read, so a lot of it was trial and error. But now that I have a better grasp on what I'm interested in reading, I think that I can take the step to just working my ideas around the books that I love rather than, again, working around what I think will be the most popular. So in terms of making content, I absolutely want to make more content in 2021. I want to make it an absolute priority. A lot of it is just, to be perfectly honest with you, me making excuses about my house is kind of small and my family can be a little loud sometimes. Love them to pieces, but you know, sometimes they're loud. And I hate being like, you know, quiet on the set, everybody, I need to film a video. But I know that they are completely understanding human beings. They know that I love to do booktube, and I don't think that they're gonna be upset about me being like, can we be quiet for like an hour so I can film? So I just want to make more of a point to schedule out my content. I was doing well for a while there last year, but I fell off, and it sucks because I'm really passionate, again, about my booktube channel, and I really love making videos and I really love being creative in this way. So I plan to put a video up once a week, barring any sort of emergency, at minimum once a week. So barring any emergency, that is the plan, even if I just put up a reading vlog. Hopefully you guys will stick around for extra content. So in terms of life goals, I have a number of them. I'm feeling very motivated this year in a way that I haven't in prior years, partially, if we're being completely frank and open and honest, is because I started taking medication for my anxiety and depression, and boy oh boy, I know it's not for everybody, but my brain chemistry is just so balanced these days that everything feels possible. So that's a very happy thing that I have going into this year. The first life-ish goal that I have for the new year is to develop a productivity system that works for me. I have tried so many different things. I have tried bullet journals, I have tried Notion, I've tried paper planners, I've tried Google Calendar, and honestly I'm still trying those things right now. I still have all of those things that I'm working on, but I think that if I stick to my productivity systems and sort of actually plan using them, it's going to be easier to figure out what will and won't work. That is something that I am definitely gonna try to do this year. Next, I want to be more thoughtful about my media consumption. So last year was really hard for me in this respect because, again, I was like, in terms of reading, I was reading books that I had no real interest in, but also I was watching a lot of YouTube, and I still do this. It's really bad habit where I just like get into a YouTube hole and click recommended videos, and I will just watch YouTube for hours upon hours, and it is not it's not the way to be. Similarly with, you know, Twitter and Instagram, stuff like that, I just want to focus more on engaging with content that I am actually interested in, and I'm not just having it on to like mindlessly look at something pretty on a screen. So that is definitely something I'm going to be doing. In order to do that, I'm going to be probably blocking YouTube at certain times, specifically at night and during times when I really want to get work done. I also have made a list of specific movies and television that I want to watch. Movies in particular, I have another like fun bucket list goal to watch 100 movies this year, because I barely watched any last year, mostly because theaters were closed, and I love movies a lot. So to have neglected that part of the thing that I love for so long, it's definitely hurting me creatively, if that makes sense. So I have made lists of things that I actually want to prioritize watching, and I'm going to watch those things this year. My next goal is to focus on building stronger relationships with loved ones. That definitely fell back last year. I was pretty bad about keeping in contact with my friends, specifically my family as well, but my family that I'm really close to live with me, so it was fortunate in that way. But friends specifically, I really want to make a point to reach out and connect with people a lot more than I have in the past. Next, I want to get more intentional about taking care of my body. So going on walks, doing yoga. I've really been getting into yoga lately, specifically the yoga corner with Kira. She is a booktuber as well, but she also has a yoga channel, and I've been using hers. I also want to get better about my eating habits. Honestly, it's already improved greatly, again, with the introduction of medication for my brain. I have a lot better relationship with food, literally just because medication fixed my brain chemistry. So that has really been helping already, but I want to get even more focused on food that fuels my body and taking care of myself and making sure that I am putting my health first instead of last. And finally, the biggest goal and the most, I would say, structured goal that I have for this year is to do a no-buy year. So if you're not familiar with no-buy years, basically the premise is exactly what it sounds like. You don't buy anything for a year. Obviously, like, we live in a capitalist society. I'm not gonna get food for free. So we have to make rules for ourselves. I personally have made a bunch where, like, there are exceptions. For example, I can get gifts for people because my love language that I speak in is gift giving. I also am allowing myself to get lunch once a week at work because it's just something that really brings me a lot of joy, and I want to be able to do it still. But I can't get coffee, I can't get books, I can't get clothes. I'm allowed to get thrifted clothes only if I actually need them. Like, for example, I just had a pair of jeans that were like down for the count. They were completely down for the count, so I had to go buy new jeans at the thrift store, and that is completely fine and within my rules. I'm not allowed to buy pretty much anything except things that I absolutely need, except for essentials. So it's gonna be an interesting year. I don't know how it's gonna affect my booktube channel, but we're gonna figure it out together and see how it goes. So that is it for my goals for 2021. I would love to hear what you guys have planned. If you have any New Year's resolutions, if you don't believe in New Year's resolutions, I would love to hear about it, whatever your opinion is on them. I hope you guys have an absolutely amazing day, and I hope you stick around to see what the new year brings to this channel. Bye!